Let's jump right into how all of this is playing with voters with longtime Republican pollster and strategist Frank Luntz. Frank, when it comes to the economic plans, we heard the vice president lay out part of her economic agenda today. Donald Trump, at his news conference yesterday, tried to get ahead and cast her as a communist. Take a listen.
Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price control. She wants price controls. It leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger, dramatically more inflation. She's running on the Maduro plan. I think this is a different kind of a race. All we have to do is define our opponent as being a communist or a socialist or somebody that's going to destroy our country.
Frank, I think that's the former president lays it out right there, right? We're trying to define our opponent. They're very clearly trying to define her as a communist. Her policies aren't communist policies, although they are aggressive in terms of how they operate within markets. How do you think that line of attack is landing right now?
It isn't. And it's one of the reasons why Trump has been declining in every survey in just about every state over the last 3 weeks. The public absolutely wants to focus on inflation, on affordability. They absolutely care about prices for food and fuel, housing and healthcare. And they're not asking for an ideological solution. They're asking for a day-to-day solution. What Harris proposed in the last few hours is going to play well with voters, at least initially, because they're looking at their wallets and their pocketbooks, and they're saying, I can't afford day-to-day life. Trump would be much better off comparing inflation under his administration versus the Biden-Harris administration. Much better off talking about the cost of a Thanksgiving meal, because that's something we can all relate to, rather than accusing her of being a communist, which is simply not credible. And this is what has happened in the campaign over the last few weeks, and it's one of the reasons why so many voters are taking another look at Harris, not because of what she says, but because of what Donald Trump is saying and how much they don't like it.
Yeah, and you can tell Trump's advisors know exactly what you're saying. They literally put props behind him yesterday to try and make the exact point. They're trying to get him into that space. I do want to ask you, though, Frank, we heard Trump raise some eyebrows at a later event yesterday. It was an event on anti-Semitism. He was honoring the widow of GOP megadonor Sheldon Adelson. Yet in his praise for her, he appeared to take a swipe at veterans on some level. Listen.
Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead.
Frank, as our resident expert on focus groups, what are the dials doing when people hear that?
Well, that's not an attack on veterans. And actually, as the resident professor at West Point, I will tell you that I'm very attuned and paying close attention to any mention of veterans or our men and women in honor, in uniform. In this case, that is not what he meant. And he sometimes has quite frankly difficulty because he's trying to wrap an attack or trying to figure out some way to paint a picture that is not favorable to his opponent. And sometimes he gets trapped up in what he says. In the end, the veteran vote is going to be important because it's nationwide. And if veterans participate, the typical vote is somewhere between 70 and 75% Republican. It matters that they participate just for the sake of their voice being heard. I think Trump has to be much more careful about what he says and how he says it. And I think he has to be really focused on paying respect to those issues and people and organizations that he agrees with. You're allowed to criticize, but you're not allowed to deliver ad hominem attacks. I'm very careful about what I say in your network, about what I say in all media, because in the end, we're so accustomed to delivering criticism and not sufficiently accustomed to delivering solutions. And that's what he should be focused on, and particularly the fact that he had a successful administration in many of these issues. He's not talking about it at all. He's just using it as an attempt to attack.
Frank Luntz, as always, my friend, appreciate your time.